Hey, it's Conor Neal here in one of the teaching classrooms in ESA Business School. One of the professors that taught me in the very first year when I came here to study the MBA, Professor Rosenberg, he had this wonderful 2x2 matrix where he talked about why experts are such poor communicators. And I'd like you to just walk through the 2x2 matrix that Professor Rosenberg shared with me. So if you can imagine there's two axes. On this axis we have talent or capacity, competency, and on this talent, communication. So here is people with little talent, little competency. Here are people with lots of talent, lots of competency. And on this axis, people with little ability to communicate and people with lots of ability to communicate. So we have 4 blocks down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see. 1, down here in this quadrant are people with no skill and no ability to communicate. The great thing, the universe will take care of these. They're not going to get anywhere. They don't have any ability to communicate bigger than they are, and they aren't any good anyway. So the universe takes care of number 1. Then you have the number 4. Number 4, they are excellent at communicating and they're highly competent at their work. And again, the universe takes good care of these people. These people will do very well. The problem though comes in number 2 and number 3. Number 3, they are very high, very practiced on their ability of communicating well. They are brilliant at looking the part that you expect an expert to be, but they're very low on competence. These are the charlatans, the fakers, the inauthentic ones, the ones that oversell and underdeliver, the people that promise the world but then just don't have the skill or the ability to deliver anything like it. And these are dangerous. These look good and deliver a mess. You got to be so careful. Charlie Munger of Berkshire Hathaway, the partner of Warren Buffett, says almost the entire job of he and Warren is identifying these types, the looks good but not competent, and get them out of the system. Remove them from being able to touch anything that could cause a problem. These threes, these look the part but no competence, they're very dangerous. Then you've got the 2s. So they're high on talent, high on competency. They're good, they're really excellent at what they do, but they're very low on the ability to communicate. And these people, they should do well. We should trust them. We should give them important work to do. But unfortunately, society places such a high value on your ability to communicate well that these guys will do terribly. And what Professor Rosenberg talked about is the real problem is that we have so few 4s in the world. So the 2s, those that are excellent at their work, but haven't done the work to be able to communicate it well. The people that they see that can communicate well, on the whole, are these 3s. And they know that they're fake because the expert sees through the fake communication, sees that when they ask a question, there's no content behind. It's all slideware and no deep knowledge. So the 2s, the only people they really come into contact with regularly that speak well are the charlatans. So they've decided that speaking well, communicating well, putting effort into appearances is what charlatans do. And the only path to get from 2 to 4 is actually through this 3rd zone. You have to learn to fake it a little bit before you can become an authentically brilliant communicator. You have to learn a little bit of theater in your gestures, in your voice, in how you speak, in order to move up and be authentically you. A good friend of mine, Olivia Schofield, she has a wonderful saying. An actor is an expert in being someone else. A speaker is an expert in being themselves. This is what the number 4 is. They've done the work to know how to act, and then they've gotten rid of the mask and they are now good at being themselves. They don't need a script. They don't need to think deliberately about the gestures, the movements, because it's all come together again, and they are an expert at being themselves. And this table, I think, where are you on this? On your competency, highly competent, low competence, and on your communications capacity, low or high? What I'm interested in is fours. And what I'm interested in is working with the people who are in this two category, who really have done the work to be experts, who really have done the work to know the material they need to know to do their job well, who really have done the work to connect with the people that can help them and be sure of their knowledge when push comes to shove, and work with them to help them make this journey through some level of acting, some level of playing at theatre, to move to the ability where you really do show how good an expert you are and share your information in a way that others are able to connect. And given that we're talking about this, about sharing your information, your expertise, one conversation that I've had recently a few times, mostly recently with Michael Thompson, who's an American, lives in Vic, inspiring writer, was about, I believe that there are teachers that are great at teaching beginners, and there are teachers that are great at working with experts. And a teacher cannot be both. A teacher is either a teacher of experts, of people who've already done all the basics of the path and they need a guide on the final stages of the path, or a teacher that teaches beginners. A teacher that's very good at just getting the energy, the belief, the inspiration into something who's a beginner, getting the first steps on the path. But once they've taken the first steps, they'll outgrow that teacher. And our debate was, Anthony Robbins, I think, is a fantastic catalyst for the beginner. Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins, is an inspiring speaker. I watched his documentary, I Am Not Your Guru, and finished inspired with the talent he has to reach people, to connect with them, to move them, to push reality into their face, to let them see reality as it is, but stay with them and help them take that first new step of a different way of being. Take responsibility for their situation in life. Take responsibility for the relationships that they have played a part in breaking. But Tony Robbins, he's the beginner. He gets the beginner onto the path. He gets the beginner onto the path full of motivation. Noah Kagan, who writes the blog OK Dork, he wrote a post recently about how he went to a recent Tony Robbins event and he left after 5 hours. He loved part of it, but he hated another part of it. He loved the part of the people in the room, working with his neighbor, sharing his path. But the rah-rah, the music, the excitement, the buzzy music was just getting too much for him. And I think it's very much what Noah was looking for, is a teacher for experts. A teacher who can take him deep. A teacher who has really explored the path and is good at teaching those that are already far along the path. And that's a different type of teacher, a different type of person than the speaker who catalyzes the beginner. And maybe there's an element here that, if we go back to our 2x2 matrix, that the number 3, this excellent communicator but low in competence, often does have enough knowledge to be able to inspire the beginner. But when that beginner starts to learn, starts to research, starts to read books by themselves, starts to explore, they're rapidly going to outgrow the number 3, and they need to find a 2 or a 4. A 2, a soft-spoken, not good at sharing their information in a way that the other can reach, but deeply knowledgeable. So when you're looking for a teacher, what type of teacher do you need? Do you need a teacher that can help you on that first couple of steps, give you the belief that's important, give you the sense that you have the capability within you to take steps on this path? Or do you need a teacher who teaches experts, someone who's able to take you those further steps, push you to the limits, and actually help you almost go beyond the teacher themselves in terms of your capacity to be competent in a domain? But key thing here, get competent. If you're a number 3 and are a great communicator, find a domain and become an excellent, skilled practitioner in that domain. I think another thing I'll take away here, Rich Mulholland, you should check out Rich Mulholland's YouTube channel. One of his early YouTube videos talked about craftsmanship. Craftsmanship being somebody who works in all of the parts of the craft. So a video YouTube craftsman is someone that does the camera work themselves, does the script themselves, does the editing themselves, does the publishing themselves. And that when you're a craftsman and you control all elements of your work, you start to be able to do innovative things because you integrate all the different pieces. And I think finding somewhere where you can be a craftsman, where you know the skill, you know how to communicate the skill, and you control all the parts of production. Even though it might be cheaper to get someone else to do it, there might be someone better at doing the editing or better at doing the camera work. I think there's something powerful in deciding to take the path of the craftsman and working at the art and all of the chain of value from beginning to end. And bringing back the art of the craftsman into society. So often in today's society, robots are taking over work. Work is being divided into little chunks, and a company needs 1,000 different pieces of work to come together to have one finished whole. And there's very few places in the world where you can start from a blank sheet of paper and move to a finished product, and in each stage of that process you have been the one working on the work. So in the case of making these YouTube movies, I decided I will follow Rich's calling and be a craftsman. I could hire a cameraman, I could get an editor, but actually I want to go on a weekly, long-term, year after year journey of getting better at all of the elements, so as to be able to innovate in the whole area of the craft of making these YouTube videos. So great to have you on this journey as I work at the craft of getting better at sharing ideas through YouTube, sharing answers to questions, asking questions. Let me know what works, let me know what you like, let me know what you hate, let me know what you'd like me to answer. But I love your comments, your likes, your suggestions. So keep sending them on in. Have a great week.